them, so I'm happy to take her place for this evening. No more than this evening, though. That's all. We have the approval of the Bluff Town Council regular meeting minutes of June 21st, 2022. Are there any additions or changes to be made to that? I assume everyone's read that.
Motion to approve. Hearing none, Mayor.
I have a motion.
I'll go ahead and second.
I have a motion from Brant, and I have a second from Luann. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Aye. Okay. There's a 3-minute time limit. We're going to have public comment here. Anyone who wishes to speak from the public who's present may do so at this point, at this time, and we have a 3-minute limit, a time limit. So I guess I'll get my timer going over here. If anybody has anything to speak on, go ahead and begin. Any public comment period here? Well, I'm not hearing anyone step forward. How long should I wait here? What's the usual routine?
I think you're there. Call for a comments. If none come forward, move on.
Okay, sounds good to me. Very good. Thank you. Our unfinished business, number 1, is an update on the CCC Design Review Team, DRC, Design Review Committee, and resolution for banking choice as part of it, and a discussion regarding method and timing of reimbursement from UDB. The Design Review Committee met today, had a congenial meeting. Heather Atteen was not present. She has COVID. But we met, and Aaron was invited by me, and Damien was invited by David Conine, Damien Ballerman. We discussed, we had that front and center on our agenda, the joint UDB TOB bank account, and no one seems to know anything. Oops, wait, what's going on here? Sorry about that. No one seems to know anything about it. Linda, is there anything that you know of it? I guess our attorney is supposed to be sending some kind of direction on this. Or Aaron? Either one.
Yeah, so Anne spoke with Chris McEnany yesterday. It is on the top of his priority list to get the resolution drafted and sent to us as the council. At that time, it would be ready to present, or you all would need to sign off and approve, and then it would go to the DRC. I know he hasn't been, he's had some other stuff going on, but he does know it's of utmost priority, and we hopefully will see it this week.
Okay. Well, we'll look forward to that. We don't really have a budget technically until we have that joint account, and if we don't have a budget, we can't do very much. So the second part of this is a discussion regarding method and timing of reimbursement from Utah Denebikea. I'm not familiar with what the mayor was going to discuss on this. My understanding is that the reimbursement came through. It wasn't really a reimbursement for them. It's more of an expense, I think, the way they put it on their books. But Linda, can you speak to this? Is everything okay here?
Yes, we were able to get the reimbursement before the end of the fiscal year. which is what we really wanted. I mean, it was several months late, but you know, as you close the books for the fiscal year, you want to clean up everything you can. So I have, last week I gave them the reimbursement billing or invoice for the second quarter. And Heather said that she'd get it to Woody to approve, and then she'd give me a check. So my thought is that it was taking so long because Heather was involved in an audit that was taking weeks and weeks. In our contract with them, it does say 30 days.
I think
track.
no, I was going to say, you guys, thank you so much for that. I think once we get a check done, it'll be easier for them to appropriate the next one. So I'm hoping things will be more timely, and I appreciate those guys getting us paid.
Linda,
Yeah.
can you tell us which day, what is the net 30? When is this one due? Just so the DRC team can keep an eye on it for us.
I believe I dated it July 2nd, but I walked it over there last week, so maybe the 8th.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on it for early August.
Okay. And my understanding is you're in pretty much constant contact with Heather, and you guys are conversing, Linda. I think that's key. Yeah, she's.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, we've been. I go over there and we talk about, the way we do things, which we talk bookkeeping talk basically. So that's been really helpful. So that is usually, it's random, but it's every week or two.
Yeah, she's very good to talk to. She seems to really have it together. There have been a few struggles, but everything seems to be going along. For the rest of the agenda for the DRC today, we talked about grants and proposal updates. We're kind of on the USDA. We're meeting probably with the mayor and the head of Utah's USDA in August sometime. I think Brant and I are going to be in on that, and the mayor and their representative David Conine and maybe someone else. So that looks very positive. Mr. Conine knows the director quite well, Michelle Weaver. So that's looking good. The other grants are going forward as much as they can. I think I skipped over the remodeling strategic planning here on our agenda. We discussed that a little bit, and I'm trying to push this strategic planning. I'm in contact with Liza Springmeyer. Had a little brief conversation with her today, and we're going to figure out what she can do for us and how much it'll cost. And I think I'm going to keep moving that forward. We need to get a strategic plan in place, a document for transparency purposes, if for nothing else. But it's also nice to know where we're going. So I'm on that. I really want to push that pretty hard. Another agenda item was the fire suppression estimate from Cooper's Fire Systems, which we have received, and that is coming in at the version we want, the one below the ceiling, and we haven't the committee wants the one that's below the ceiling. The pipes are below the ceiling, and it gives us more latitude later on, and it's much cheaper. It's still coming in at $260,000 plus. So we've got a long way to go to raise that kind of money, but it's looking more like we'll get there sooner or later. We talked about policies, some sort of housekeeping, literally, trash, weeds. We have not heard from the recycling committee, but we have had a positive response from the design review committee. If they are looking for placement for any recycling project, we can probably get that done, and we'll see how that goes. The septic system inspection, we got word this week that we are a large underground system that requires a special, it's large underground wastewater system, and there's a person who monitors that for the Division of Water Quality, and he's in contact with the mayor. It turns out that they're able to speak Finnish with each other, so we know that that's going to work out really well. And there's nothing urgent here, but it's sort of a reminder, and there is an inspector around, so we've got all the materials we need to get that done. We're not sure of the cost, but it'll probably be reasonable. And there was an inquiry about a UDB garden at the center, at the culture center, but that was Heather's thing, and she wasn't there today, so that's the way it goes. We are going to find out the location of the septic system. We get a lot more information on that. That's sort of the short-term plan. Are there any questions about the design review committee meeting today? It lasted a little more than an hour.
Jim, I just wanted to make a comment. There have been a couple of emails about this. We call it the LUDS system. That's what all the big businesses have for their septic, is a large underground wastewater disposal system. And that's what, all the motels and whatnot have in town if you go over a certain amount. It's a common thing. And the school had it. This new school, I'm sure, is going to do the same thing.
Yeah, thank you, Luann. I may ask you a couple of questions about that before things are all over here with this large underground wastewater system business, if I may, but don't have to do that tonight. Any other questions or comments? Aaron has been very helpful in these meetings. Really good to have sort of an institutional foundation, so to speak, someone who's interested in the interest in institutional memory, and ask some good questions about that. So thank you to Aaron for that. I'm going to move on our regular agenda here, if I may, if I can find it. Update on community garden. I think I saw Ms. Irene Hamilton present, and we've got an update from Ms. Hamilton. Go for it, please, Irene. You have the floor. Better unmute yourself, though.
Okay. Yes, good afternoon. Yeah. So the committee met. Well, we had a lot of interruptions, but the committee finally met, and I'm not going to go over the report that Reagan typed up and sent to you all, but just some pluses and minuses. So it was the consensus of the committee to include young people in the long range goals of the garden, of the community garden. And then the committee, the concerned individuals got together, and so we're building it's small right now, but there's like a committee there of, there's people that are interested, and and some people from the community are participating by planting in the raised beds. So that's a plus. There's one raised bed of squash that's really thriving, but those darn squash bugs have discovered that little spot. So the irrigation system is pretty much in place. There's some tweaking that needs to be done. And then we still, interested parties, we have the challenge of being a little more organizing a little more organized and coordinating our efforts to ensure the garden thrives and, we have a harvest. So there's a lot of learning. We have a lot of challenges. I mean, even for myself, I gardened uh, in New Mexico, and it was a different climate. The temperatures were different. Water was different. I'm experiencing a lot of learning. So I imagine, people like, Mr. Nez, he's familiar with farming in this area. So we just kind of have to get together with those people that know a lot about gardening in Bluff to kind of overcome some of those challenges, like having our soil tested, um, getting organized in the in the in the irrigation system that's on a timer, what grows well, things like that. So there's a lot of science. If we really include all the students' participation in this activity, I think it will be a good thing. And then I was thinking, because I next door to this, all the relics of the ancestral pueblo. They farmed somewhere, and it was a community garden that enabled their survival. And I know, like, there's examples of communities that have started community gardens. So some of us just need to do our research and kind of find answers to the challenges that we face. So that's my observation, and that's my report. And Jim Sayers, I put some water on your raised bed the other day when I
Thank you so
went
much.
over.
Thank you so much. I was hoping that would happen, but All right. Are there any other questions for
No,
Irene about the community garden?
for the community garden minutes, Irene, thank you guys. You got a lot going on. I know there's a learning curve, but thank you.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic.
Yeah, really is. Yeah, if you haven't been out there, go check it out. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, a lot of potential there.
Yes, indeed.
All
Going
righty.
on,
Thank you.
Goshin. Yeah.
Oh,
Financial report on the end of FY 22, certified tax rate, posted budget. Those are all Mayor and Linda Sosa things. And Linda, what say you on this financial report?
Did Aaron, were you able to talk to Dave today?
No, I did not get a hold of him today.
Okay. We were going to try to do that so we could be, totally up to date. But basically, we finished the fiscal year. We've got all our balancing done, and so then it goes to Dave, and Dave did what's called a transparency report and dividend and interest report. So those were submitted to the state. Dave submitted them to the state, and they received them. So also the same, I believe, with the tax rate. And actually, this is what I just said. He posted the budget on the state site for 2023. So what's happening now is Larson and Company is getting back with us, and since all our numbers are in, they are starting the audit process. So this last week, they got together with me what I have to do is I have to authorize them to be able to get into our bank account. And so we did that. So they're doing their thing now. And in a couple months, they'll be ready to work with us. So That's pretty much where we are.
Very good. Does anyone have any questions about the end of our fiscal year or anything related to the financial report or the budget?
Just to thank you to all the hard workers that are making that thing happen.
Thanks.
Yes. Thanks. Update from town manager on NetForce contract and investigation of other possible providers. That's got Richard's name after it, but I think that that's supposed to be Nelson. So there's a correction to the.
That's true. I didn't even catch that.
Correction to the agenda.
I'll second that.
Go for it, please, Aaron.
Thanks, Jim. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm getting used to that. I will respond to both. So I actually have had a few updates. The biggest, we received an invoice in the mail from NetForce, and I reached out because it was incorrectly billed. They were trying to charge us for the server again, which we never got and don't have. And when I reached out to their CFO, she said, well, actually, so the gentleman who had been kind of administering our contract is no longer with the company. And so when the CFO looked into it, she said, well, actually, we owe you all a $1,200 credit on top of everything else. So we didn't have to pay for June, we don't have to pay for July, and we don't have to pay for most of August is what it looks like. So they've credited our account. So we will continue with that month to month. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to share my screen. And when I share my screen, I can't see you all. So please rate or let me know verbally if you have questions. But I'm going to show you just a few things on what I've been looking into. I do think this is going to be a deeper discussion over the next couple weeks. But I'll just kind of show you what I have right now. And let me know when you can see it. Are you all able to see the screen?
Got it.
Excellent. Thank you. Alrighty. So currently our services from NetForce, in addition to the server that they keep trying to bill us for, right now they're managing our workstations. They have a firewall installed, and these are for the laptops that we received for governmental work, and then we're being charged for storage. This comes out to about $390 per month. With the server, it would be an additional $100 per month. Now I have the internet located, or the internet charges down here at the bottom, and you'll see in a second why. This current plan is no longer offered through NetForce. They've kind of revamped their plans. Now, the information that I got from the gentleman before he left was this. So essentially, they were recommending that we needed their highest plan, and I'll just present this without comment to start. They were recommending that we needed the highest plan. The highest plan would include cybersecurity awareness training, which, as we know, we received an audit through Utah Trust that recommended or essentially asked if we had cybersecurity training. So something that we probably do need. It would include the Microsoft 360 apps. As you know, when you log on, it's difficult to get to a lot of the Microsoft suite. And then, there's a lot that goes into this platinum plan. Now, as you can see, it's very expensive. So we're talking $15,000 annually. And then on top of that, again, I'm going to include this internet service. So per month, we would be paying with internet $1,300, quite a lot. So I reached out to the Utah Division of Technology Services. They provide IT services for the state. We would be considered a non-state entity, even though we're a government. They support other governments as well. And so just today at 4 p.m., I got these prices in. Once I got a hold of the right people, they got this turned around within about a week. So I was really thankful for that. They will be preparing a complete package for us to look over, but I wanted to get these initial numbers in front of you. So as you can see, we can just kind of cut to the chase here. It would be about just under $600 a month. So that's $580 $76 per month. What they would be providing would be pretty much everything, all the big stuff that we have said we needed. So the big thing is the security monitoring. That's really what we need. Now this includes the firewall, and it's per device, includes cybersecurity training and network monitoring. It's all that security stuff that we want. Just for the support, it's a flat fee. So if we have issues, if we have if we needed, someone, if something went wrong, that's what this is covering per month. Now, the reason that I included the internet in the previous charges is because what DTS would do, Division of Technology Services, DTS, what they do is they essentially, I don't know how to describe it, but they like latch onto the internet. So they're monitoring that connection to keep us safe. So they do a cost plus model where we would still be receiving Emory internet through them, but they would charge us plus a 10% fee. So currently we pay 100, it would be 110 to go through them, but that's because they have to put their systems over the internet to keep us safe, is kind of the simple way to describe it. They would also be able to provide a virtual private network for us, something that I've said from the beginning that would be really, really useful given our government assets. And then they would also provide a Gmail account. Now, we already have Gmail accounts as individuals, you all on the council, and then our planning and zoning folks. But the Gmail account would allow us to be under the utah.gov domain. We would get our own subdomain as the town, but the benefit of this is there are additional security measures that go into that .gov as opposed to the .org that we're under right now. So we have additional security, and then because of the amount of data that we have, instead of getting a server, which is what NetForce has recommended to us multiple times, as opposed to getting a server to back up all of our data, we would be able to use Gmail in this very secure Google environment to back up our data. The only other thing I noted down here at the bottom is I don't believe this plan includes any of the Microsoft licensing that we would need for the Microsoft suite, which was included on NetForce's plan. Just a couple things to consider as we talk through this over the next couple of weeks. So we want to ensure that we have government level security and monitoring. That's the most important thing. The geographical location is important. So if there is a major issue, how do we get on-site assistance? Where does it come from? The overall cost over time, of course, we want to be we're monitoring this from a cost perspective. The ability to customize our plan. One of the things that kind of made us look outside of NetForce was, they have these plans, but we need to tailor it to our needs as a local government. And finally, our data storage solutions to ensure secure storage for all of our assets. So I know that was a lot of information. I just want to start this by saying, or finish this by saying, this is a discussion that we'll need to go over. I would propose my next step is to go back to NetForce to see if we can get more of a customizable plan now that our point of contact has changed. When the gentleman who reached out to me was telling me that our previous contact had left, he did make a comment that there would be the potential to customize our plan a little bit further. Does anyone have any questions or thoughts on this before I go out and seek additional information from NetForce? Hi, Luann.
You're muted.
Am I know? I was trying to find it slid under the screen, but I'm wondering if we switch all that, how does that, like all of our documents and all our email and stuff, does that all get transferred if we were to do a .gov? Would all of that come over, or we'll have to do some process?
Super great question. So that was discussed in the call today. There would be a data migration. They believe that it would be more straightforward because we are already existing on a Gmail type account, but they are doing the digging to see what all that would entail. What I expressed to them is, we've been around since 2018. There's certainly data out there, but because of the number of users, it probably wouldn't be like an absurd amount of data, but we certainly would want to ensure that it migrates safely and correctly. And so because of what they do and their affiliation with protecting the state assets, I feel very confident that they would be able to migrate it and not us not lose our information. But I can definitely get updates as to what the process would entail and the timing.
Mayor, my comment is that thank you for the comprehensive report, and I would appreciate if you keep reaching out. I like the second plan pricing,
Okay.
and I'm leaning that way currently.
Thank you, Brant. Absolutely. I expect to be able to report out on, if NetForce is able to customize, and at the very least, look at if we could do maybe like a gold level plan, but with like an addition or something, like an add-on. I just don't know if that's anything they're able to do, because we were on their gold plan up until, they changed their services. So.
Well done, Aaron. Thank you very much. I did have a question. This looks like it's coming in at about half of what NetForce was doing for the last year. And but how much would the Microsoft suite cost?
The Microsoft suite, just off of very quick research this afternoon, my understanding, well, and it's up to the council as well. So there's the big comprehensive plan, which could be up to $22 per device per month. I think what I would probably recommend for you all would be just the desktop applications. So you would be able to open documents, from your email. You wouldn't have to go to like Google Sheets and stuff like that. And that is coming in at $8.25 per device per month, which is around $50 for 6 of us.
Yeah. So all that I've learned about doing it on the drive is going to go to waste. All my learning is going to, yeah.
If that's not how you want to go, that's okay too.
Oh no, I'm I'm all for it.
We'll make it. We'll make it
using OneDrive is no fun.
Hey, Linda.
I believe planning and zoning is also, so it does cost 51 something a month. And I believe that includes planning and zoning.
Okay. All right.
Good. Yeah. Excellent.
And that would be the one thing. I'm so sorry, Jim. If we wanted to migrate the planning and zoning email addresses, that would be an additional cost. But I think that would be a discussion for you all to have, seeing as it's a discussion you'd want to have, whether you'd want them to have that extra layer. Clearly, there wouldn't be additional devices being monitored because of how we have it set up. But if you wanted to have the unified.gov, you could migrate them as well. So just throwing that out there.
So you're going to go back to NetForce to see if they can be competitive and provide the same sort of.
Yes, I'm going to try to actually meet them in person on a trip over to Cortez. I'll just combine all my errands, so I'm not going out of my way, and just try to sit down with them and really talk to them about our needs. I think, we like to all pretend that we're really special and everything, but as, the size of the town and what our needs are, I'm hoping they're able to customize it to fit our specialized needs.
All right.
And I have just one more kind of question on like travel time. If these guys are up in, Richfield or up in Salt Lake or something, like how much of this do they need to be in person, or is it most of it just done online? Or
great question. So they're looking into, they're going to finalize this for me. The thought would be that the cost to do repairs in person would be included in that $150 a month. So we would not necessarily need to pay for travel time. But no, once they get everything set up, there should be very limited need for them to come over. Now, with that being said, if something does go wrong, yeah, that's a 5-hour drive for them to come fix it. So definitely something that I want you all to keep in mind as you're making these decisions. The one thing that he did note is that it's kind of a fuzzy thing, because that $150 flat fee, I mean, that covers their devices. So if something was to go wrong on their side, that's all covered. He said that if it was something like caused by us, for example, then there would be a $71 per hour service fee. So I'm having him actually write it out so we can have it, see it in writing to ensure that we wouldn't be paying astronomical travel fees. They also, this is why this has taken a little bit of time. They wanted to ensure that they'd be able to service our area of the state. We would be their most remote customer. So it's a good question, and one that I think we will need to continue talking about before you make your final decision. But their indication today was that would be included in our standard fee.
And if there was a problem like with a laptop or something, it probably would still be cheaper just to take that into NetForce or something locally. And, or they can get online with you and say, okay, click here and whatever. So
exactly. That's my gut feeling is that, as long as we maintain a healthy relationship with NetForce, they would be able to assist us. That was asked. And there was one other thing with the state. Oh goodness, I'm sure I'll think of it. I'll let you know. But yeah, definitely as you're making these decisions, you'd want to keep that in mind. Oh, the install. So as you all know, there was a significant install fee from NetForce when they put everything in. Their DTS would need to do something similar. It clearly wouldn't be as involved because all the wiring and cabling is already run, but I am getting what that fee would be for them to come down. So there would be a changeover fee. I will be able to present out your total cost difference, and you keep that in mind given that the cabling was installed last year. So I'll provide that for you.
Very good. Any more questions of Aaron? Sounds great.
Well, thank you. It does sound like we might have a better plan. Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Cheaper one. I love it. All right. And we might want to check on the satisfaction level of the people who are using the Utah Division of Tech Services too.
Absolutely.
I don't know how you do that, but might
They have a whole website, and I, just in terms of like being able to chat with them. But I do think that's a good idea to see what other local governments are currently receiving services. Referrals are always appreciated. I will absolutely look into that.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm going to move on to number 5 here, if I may, the status of the second tranche of ARPA funds. This is the CDBG money, and it's been quite difficult. It's been arduous for the mayor. She's really accomplished a lot, but these are federal monies, and they have to comply with all kinds of very complex federal regulations, and it's really been tough to pull this money, to get this money, but I guess we're getting it. But I have no idea what the status of the second tranche is. This is a Lebanon
She shared
topic.
with me. She shared with me today. There is no update at this time. Sorry. We can. She'd like to move it though to the next meeting to ensure it remains.
That's
on the
fine.
agenda.
With CDBG, no news is good news, from what I understand. So that's great.
This is actually not CDBG money. It's the government money, but
Right.
we're joining it with our CDBG money. So the project is.
Yeah, it disburses through CDBG. They're sort of the vehicle that they're as I understand it, it's moving through CDBG. So yeah, it's federal money. Thank you. Another one that I have no idea what to say about, number 6, update on Utah Department of Transportation projects. I understand you may have been in a UDOT type meeting today, Luann, and maybe Brant knows something about what's going on.
Do you have anything from before today, Brant?
Yeah, the only thing I have, guys, is those feedback signs. I think Jared mentioned that one part was needed and they would be ready to be installed. So that's the update. I think the feedback signs are close to being a reality for us.
And today there was a sort of a quick notice on a UDOT meeting, but it's sponsored through the Federal Department of Transportation. And it was funneled through UDOT. So UDOT I was on, and I think we ought to put it on the agenda for next week so I can give you a more clear update. It was quite a fast moving meeting, and what they basically are doing, it's all on safety. This whole thing, they've got $1 billion or something to put out to everybody. And it's their focus is designed to support safety needs at the local level. So they also mentioned there's a rural section on the website. There is underserved section. There's all the things that we want that's all tied into the safe routes to school. It's all of that stuff. The August 15th is basically when it's due, though, the grant application, because you can't ask questions, any technical questions past August 15th. September 15th is when it's actually due, but you have to have it all kind of compiled. And there seems to be a 200,000 minimum up to $1 million. And they want, if you don't have a plan in place. So that's kind of the big key, is we need to have an active transportation plan in place. Then we could go for the bigger money that is implementation grant. So they have a planning grant and an implementation grant. And I don't know that our plan would cost that much to put together, but the minimum is 200,000, and it sounds like a 20% matching grant. You can't do any matching to it ahead of getting awarded. And it doesn't sound like it'll get awarded till next spring, the end of winter, first of spring. So that seems like kind of a long delay to wait to get a plan through them. But anyway, there was a lot of good information, and I've got the website. Let's see, I could probably give you the website. There were quite a few of them because there's several of them there. They also said to the more partners you have, the better it looks. They said to consolidate. If some other people are applying, if there's a bunch in the same area, they'll kind of highlight them as like duplicates. So it's good to get all the partners together and work on it at the same time. But it looked like a really good potential. But anyway, it was a lot of information really quick. And they did send out a recording too. So I should have that in my email by tonight with a recording of what they sent. So I can send you that, and you can listen. It was like 40 minutes of this nonstop sort of information. And then there were some question and answer time. And so there's definitely some potential there, and it's what we're after. But,
safety.
Yeah.
Safety is what we started out this whole process. So
right.
thank you for that, Lou. We need to follow up.
Yeah, and UDOT, see, I just don't have all my notes. Oh, Jeff Lewis was who came from UDOT, and he's the safety guy for UDOT. And they said, so are you going to be administering this through, because it's a different program, it's a federal program? And they said, absolutely, it's not what they usually do. So it's a whole nother different program, but they have to help administer it. So anyway, yep, there's definitely more potential. There was a Carrie Silcox. She's the highway safety office that's not UDOT, but the highway safety office. She was also very helpful. So I probably should just write up a sort of a little format like I did that other UDOT meeting, and can have all the.
Maybe put that link number on there in case we want to listen to it.
Yes, I'll send that right away, because then you can just take down your own notes. That'll probably be the best. So.
Any questions? I have one. This notion of an active transportation plan keeps coming up, and I think we're going to need it in order to grab some money, so to speak, when it comes available through UDOT. And I'm wondering if we're working on an active transportation plan, or if we, what, does anybody know anything about?
I can answer a little bit about that from my previous Main Street stuff. Active transportation is getting to work anyway but driving. And so walking, biking, that sort of thing. So that's kind of what the essence of an active transportation plan is. No, we haven't ever put anything together formally. We were kind of waiting for the kind of that Main Street to congeal back in COVID, early COVID. So that's all I know about it, other than you're right. We need an active and a rural transportation plan. There's a couple of those that figure in that give us advantages as we do this safety thing for town.
We do have a request out by Molly Schmidt to make a presentation requesting the creation of a committee to help put this together. It looks like that will be hopefully on our August 2nd meeting, but we'll coordinate with the mayor to get that formally scheduled. I think that's a great idea to get a little bit more support behind it. To put it together. But Luann, do you have any indication of like the time needs and you know how difficult it is to put together?
It's really not difficult. There is a active transportation plan checklist from, and I think I attached that to my last little summary of the meetings and whatnot, because that's when I became aware of it, was at that last UDOT meeting. And it's huge. You've got to have it. And like this one, we could go ahead and apply for the 200,000 to up to 5 million, I think it is, in order to implement it if we have that already in place. I don't think we can do it between now and August 15th, because we do need those community workshops and that EPA grant that was going to host the workshops, that still is out there waiting to see if they'll assist. So if we get some assistance, it will go, but we need community input is one of the things. We need council support. We need a plan of like where we want people to go, where the bike trails would be, you know, our small little area, that would go pretty quickly. But yeah, if we had that in place, then we could go ahead and ask for the implementation money and get started on it. But yeah, UDOT has theirs, and then they gave us a link to what the state has for their active transfer or their transportation plan. But they said you can't just like, you know, carbon copy it. It has to apply to each town and each one. And it all, like in this particular grant, it's all focused on safety. So why you need this. And then they gave us a link to all of the accidents and all the fatalities and all of that. And there are like 2 little spots down in our end of the state. Then, so, you know, when they look at the cities, they have all these bigger ones, but they said that's not a problem. They said they know that, you know, 1 accident is the same as 100 up there or whatever. So, but yeah, we need to get after that active transportation.
So we couldn't even apply for this money without an active transportation plan. Is that correct?
That's right, to do the implementation, but there's 2 grants. There's a planning grant and there's an implementation grant. So the planning grant, the way I understand it, would be to go ahead and plan it, like get the easements in place, do all that so that it's ready to put concrete down. But that's why I say that this all came at pretty rapid fire. But there's 2 grants that they have, and they said next year when they bring it up again, 40% will be the planning grant, and the other part will be the implementation part of it, so that you can get it on the ground. And it's not just trails. They do like speed limit studies, they do crosswalks, they do education to teen drivers, you know, all there were lots of different ways you could use this grant, but the planning was a big one.
Yeah.
And so to confirm, these are annual grants. It's not a one-time thing this year, but there would be a lot. There'd be a lot.
So far. And that, you know, those things kind of come and go, but they have a lot of money. I think they said it was $1 billion to put out. So, but I'm afraid they're a little bit bigger, at least for our planning portion. The implementation portion would be perfect. The planning portion, unless, you know, it's doing all the surveying and all that stuff, I don't know, maybe that would bump up that high, but I think the minimum is 200. So.
Would you like to couple, I know you said there were some additional things in the meeting to present out. Would you like to couple that with the presentation that we're hearing from Molly Schmidt in the same meeting? Or do you want to present on that next week and then we can have hers in August?
Yeah, I think we should do it. Probably give you the summary of this one next week.
Okay.
I think it's up to you. It doesn't matter to me. but there is, if we have questions on putting the grant in, and I'll at least send you the link so everybody can hear it, but the deadline's pretty rapid.
I think initially when we talked to Main Street, as I said a couple of years ago, what we had intended on doing was a planning process, and we had made a deal with a planner from Salt Lake City with the Main Street toolbox. So I think what we need to do is get together and try to resurrect some of that old information and put it into this new process. But 2.5 years later, we still got people driving through here at 55 miles an hour. I'm not real confident in the program based on what I've seen so far.
And just like 2 days ago, I saw a guest walk up on the highway. He was in his 60s, maybe 70, and just going to walk somewhere out of KNC, and obviously a tourist. And he was just by himself. He saw a semi coming, and he's trying to stand there by the waiting tree on that little tiny bit of shoulder. And he just stood there, and this semi went right by him, 2 feet from his feet. And then here comes another one, and he still stood there and just waited for things to clear. And it's a real hazard up there on the highway. So hopefully we can get things done before we're one of those statistics that they say, hey, we need to change something. So, anyway, maybe whatever you think is the best way to pull it together as far as presenting stuff, but it's all kind of tied together.
Maybe.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I got a little file of stuff I had before. I'll try to get with us, and you and I can sit down or something, and we'll look at it.
Okay. Great.
Okay. Going on to number 7, the Gets WEPS application. I've got my Gets card, but I don't know, other than I've got a pin that if I call this number and use my pin, I can talk to anybody. So that's all I know.
So Anne updated me on this as well. She just said, because this is on the work session tomorrow, it can kind of roll over there, but we did want to remind everyone to please have the application downloaded so we can do a test tomorrow morning and ensure we know what we're doing.
Okay. Will do.
Yeah, I think it's called the Dialer app on your phone, but that's all in that information that came out. And then, Jim, I don't think that I ever got your information for your account information. They don't want just your phone number. If you want the WEPS part, which they recommend, and I can add that in anytime. But everybody's got their Gets, which is the phone dialer. And then if you put your app on there, it saves all those numbers. You don't have to pull them all up. You don't have to pull your card out and do the dialing. So, but I don't know how those work if you don't have Wi-Fi and stuff. But I got mine. I made a note in my notes, like what you put in when you do need to make a call and stuff. But that's what we can go over tomorrow. But
yeah,
she just she suggested we just call each other in a meeting, just so you can see that it goes through and have a little familiarity, and then do test calls every once in a while.
Yeah, and figure out what to do if it doesn't work. Number 8, new business, discussion of San Juan County.
Acting mayor.
Acting mayor, right. Okay, misbehaving mayor. Discussion of mosquito abatement meetings and location of pellets. Brant.
And Aaron.
Aaron's on this one too. So I did attend the meeting last week. Gosh, time is flying. I am going to want to get with Brant and Jackie to understand how we want to move forward. There's not a whole lot of representation for this part of the state in terms of testing, so we can collaborate on that. From the meeting, they have not yet had any mosquitoes test positive, or sorry, there have not been any cases of West Nile here in the state. There are 10 nationwide. 5 of them are in Arizona, including 1 death. But besides that, most people are reporting back that they are not finding any mosquitoes in the state with West Nile. And as I said, at this time, there are no human cases. Besides that, we just want to make sure that as a team, we know how to proceed forward with Jackie Warren stepping back.
So the pellets, the mosquito pellets, we'll talk about. If anybody needs any right away, call me or Jackie Warren. And we'll talk about, the distribution, that sort of thing.
I have not seen any more than 1 or 2 mosquitoes yet, so I'm a happy guy.
Right,
That
and the
can
right,
change in time.
as dry as it is, the only source would probably be if there's a leak in somebody's irrigation system or something like that. So keep an eye out for those kind of things. But hasn't been much rain.
Right. Okay, moving on to review of Sunrise Engineering's proposal for water rights management. This is actually coming from a guy who works with Sunrise, Tuttle. And I'm not real eager to jump into this without the mayor being present, but we could certainly look at what he's talking about. He's held the line at about a $12,000 cost to perfect, or whatever the terminology is, look into the water rights and make sure that they're all legal and everything is done that needs to be done. He has a good deal of experience in it. Myself, I think you've all gotten my message. I think this is something that we need to do. We need to do it sooner or later, and it's better to do it sooner. He seems to be a man of pretty strong integrity from what I know about him. From I kind of Googled and looked around, and he knows what he's doing. So, what are our feelings about this?
Are you asking if we feel like it's something we should do? Is that your question, Jim?
Well, I think we all agree. If there's someone who doesn't think we should do this, you can let me know. Really, should we start to think about moving forward with his proposal?
I think there are water issues out there, and these are certainly part of them. So I do think we should have a little water plan session and try to come up with solutions.
Have we seen the proposal? I don't remember if it's gone.
Oh yes. It was sent out by Mayor Lepinen a couple of weeks ago, I think. And
Okay.
not only that, but he had the same proposal in, I'm trying to remember, I think it was December of 2000, possibly 2020, but certainly he's kind of checked in once in a while. And it's the same proposal he had. It's only more specific. If you Google, if you search for Tuttle, Tuttle, it will probably come up in your email, and I recommend you do that. And it's an attachment that she put in. It's a formal proposal from him, and I think it comes in at 12 grand, and he identifies specifically the things that he would do for that money. And I just think that it's a very good deal. I don't know if it's been discussed with the water board, but I thought someone was going to do that. But Aaron, go ahead.
Yes, it's my intention after the joint meeting tomorrow to make a public comment at the Bluff Waterworks meeting at 7 p.m. and essentially say we have received this, the town council has received this proposal, and just, kind of leave it at that. And then I'll report back if there are any questions or, other responses.
Okay, sounds good. In the meantime, we all could do that search on your email and kick that thing up and kind of look it over and see what you think.
Looks like June 26th, came out on June 26th.
I beg your pardon? Oh, June 26th was when it was sent out?
Yeah, sorry. Yep.
Okay.
And Anne sent something back on June 24th, sort of a response to it. But and this was one that they had approached her on some work, and it would be interesting to get the Bluff Waterworks opinion on whether we need it. We just did the big water survey with Sunrise, so it'd be interesting to know from what they've already done for us what more they're doing, in sort of common language. I mean, the grant's not super complicated, but there's stuff there that I don't know how water rights work. So it would
Well,
be nice
I
to know.
don't either, but this fellow does, and
Right.
so check out his proposal and see what you think.
Yeah, and I've got it up here on my screen, but I always wonder, I know they're always fishing for more projects and things, so I just want to make sure that we're not doing something that is duplicating what we've already got in our files, because we have had quite a few water rights things and quite a few things at the state level that we've done. So I just want to make sure that we're not just doing another duplicate.
Well, I looked at some of what he had proposed, the well numbers, the well names, and then I got on the DWQ website and got their map of their. You can find out where all the wells are in the state, and you can zoom in on them, and you've seen that map. So, and he had some words to say about some of the wells. So it seems like he's knowledgeable. But anyway, we'll hit that one later on too, if that makes sense to people. I'm going to move on then.
Okay, and just I popped this up really quickly with just searching water rights. You'll see it right away on your email if you need to look at it again.
Thank you, Luann. Update on well-being survey. Linda?
Ann and I have been working with Dr. Courtney Flint of Utah State University for several months, gathering local input about how our community feels about our well-being. And this is happening statewide and countywide. And you may remember over the last couple months, we sent out a survey and with a reminder to have people take it if they hadn't. They would have liked 100 surveys back, but we did get, I think, 88, which is really good, I think, for the size of our town. And this information is going to help the state figure out what certain areas need. For instance, an area that had a lot of small children might need something different for their well-being than we would. So we should be getting, it's going to take a couple months, but they will get the data to us. So it should be pretty interesting.
I just wanted to mention too, I think that would be great to couple, as we look at our long-term strategic plans and how we want to best support our community, being able to utilize those results. So I'm looking forward to seeing that full report so we can use it as well at our level.
They won't localize the results. They'll just, it'll be statewide sort of, or they localize it.
It's local, it'll be Bluff.
Oh, okay.
So should be really interesting.
Yeah, great. Excellent. Anything further on number 11? County Planning and Zoning public meeting, July 14th. I will not make that, but there has been some change of date on this or time, and it was a little confusing, but I think the information was sent out, right?
It was sent out and it's been posted at the post office. So this is similar to what we just went through when we edited and updated our zoning ordinances, but this is on a county level. And so The first public hearing is the 14th. If you're there in person, you can make comments, I believe. It's the San Juan County Land Use Development and Management Ordinance, and it's 119 pages. But if you want more information on it, you can get it from the Utah Public Notice website. And I believe there is an additional meeting a little later in July, and that's posted on the website.
And this
I
one's
think you have to make your comment by the 14th, though, don't you? If you're going to do a written comment.
I'm not sure about that. I just know to make, well,
So
yeah, I don't, the information is there though. It's also at the post office. You can grab it.
and it's a 6 p.m. meeting. Is that correct?
Right.
6 p.m. Thursday.
okay, that's just an information. July 14th, posted at the post office. Check it out. Number 13, grammar request from Grant Hurst. Linda?
So I got a grandma request and he wanted various maps. And so I directed him to our website for our zoning maps. I directed him to the county for the town, and Mac McDonald for maps of the cemetery, because the county is still in charge of the cemetery. So with grammar requests, if the information is already out there, you don't have to send it to them. You just direct it to them to where they can get it.
Thanks.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Okay. That's just information. We have a reminder here of tomorrow's Bluff Town Council work session at 10 a.m. No voting, but work session. And the joint work session with Planning and Zoning at 6 p.m. So we've got two meetings tomorrow for the town, and 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. Information. And I guess the information has gone out to the town so that they'll be able to join virtually. I'm assuming.
Well, I will be. I sent it out this evening, so because I don't want to confuse things. So
Right.
my process is I send out for a regular meeting the day before, so people don't have to look for it. So when we're done with this meeting, I will send those out.
Very organized. Thank you very much. Any others that anyone has? We don't have an other on this. Maybe the mayor didn't want any others, but seems to go right to adjournment. But I'm going to have an other if anybody wants. Does anybody have an other? I don't really have one. I'm just.
This is Jen. If I can add another, as Aaron alluded to already in the meeting, we do have a Bluff Waterworks meeting tomorrow at 7 at the library.
Thank you very much, Jen. At 7 at the library.
And Jen, the problem with this timing is to get to that meeting is that the joint planning and zoning is at 6, from 6 to 7. So apparently Aaron's going to try to pop over there at 7 and join you, but that's the conflict, I guess.
Well, that's why.
Aaron, if you arrive late, we will still let you talk, even if we're already through community. But do remember that we move quickly. So if you're too much late, we might be done already.
We
Yeah,
appreciate
like 10
efficiency.
Well, that's the great thing about having a town manager is that it allows the mayor to bilocate. If there are no other others, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a
Second.
motion, and we've got a second from Luann. And all those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye. I think we're done. Thank you very much, people. Thank you for your patience with your Mayor Pro Tem.
Thanks for the
And,
good job, everybody.
Yeah, you did great, Jim.
See you bright and early tomorrow at 10.
Okay. All right. Good night.